Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. I just wanted to come on and do a quick video and just kind of share what's been on my mind the last little while. There's some things that I'm observing that are very disturbing to me. What I'm observing is people shaming and judging and attacking others who have a different belief and who are basically choosing perhaps to not participate in this medical treatment for a variety of reasons. The thing is there's something that's called informed consent, and when you have informed consent, it means that you are fully informed of all the potential side effects and all the potential, things that can happen to you if you choose to take this medical treatment. And the list is quite big. If you've actually done your research and looked at the actual ingredients and looked at the potential side effects. In fact, they've been adding more and more side effects to the Pfizer list of side effects, and Moderna, I believe. So they've added Bell's palsy, and now they've added heart inflammation. So, and the reason why they're adding them now is because they're in clinical trials. And they're now starting to see the repercussions of these because nobody really knew what was going to happen. And so someone like myself, who I'm not going to jump into something that has no track record, I want to see what the long-term effects are going to be before I put that into my body. And I hate it when people compare it to like, well, if it wasn't for the polio or if it wasn't for the MMR, but this is a completely different type of vax. I don't even look at it as a vax, but, and I'm not anti-vax. That's the thing, is people assume that just because I don't want to take this treatment that I'm an anti-vaxxer. That is absolutely not true, because I am vaccinated and my children are vaccinated. What I am is I'm very cautious about any new type of treatments that don't have any long-term effects. That's where I come from. So, just because I'm resistant to this one does not make me anti-vax. And, people who say that are very ignorant because they're just making a blanket statement. All right? I am vaxxed. I just don't believe in this one because I don't like what I'm seeing. It's too new. There's no long-term studies. The side effects that are coming out are far more prevalent and far more serious than they originally stated. And now it's turning out that they're not even working and that people are going to have to take a booster. So, I'm just choosing to inform myself, and I'm making a decision based on that. So you've got other people on the other side that willingly took this treatment without questioning it. They just said, okay. And they're shaming us who took the time to do the research. I don't know, like, when was that okay? When was it okay for people to coerce and force other people to take something that they didn't feel comfortable taking? Like, I'm sorry, but like, that is just weird. It's weird to me. They're still rolling out the trials until 2023. Okay, do you understand that you are all part of this experiment? And it's not going to end from there. You're going to probably have to take booster shots for the rest of your life, just like the flu. because coronaviruses, they're like a family of viruses that have been around forever. Colds and flus, and I look at this as very similar. So, at some point you're going to have to just say, okay, this is just part of our environment. We're going to have to learn to live with it. And it's up to each person to take care of their own health and immune system. But to expect everybody to get jabbed to keep you safe is absolutely ridiculous, especially because it's not FDA approved and it's new. It is not your job to force people to take this. So, as much as you feel it's okay and you believe it, that's wonderful. But I can guarantee you that you probably didn't do your due diligence and do your homework. You just drove in and took it and drove away. Or your doctor said, sure, yeah, take it. But, the medical industry is all paid for by Big Pharma. So you can also understand that they're going to push this because they get paid by Big Pharma. So that's why I don't ever take an answer as truth from one person. I will do my research. I am a research junkie. I will dig and dig and dig and find all kinds of information. It's what I've always done with everything in my life because I question things. I listen to my gut instincts. And if something doesn't feel right, I want to know. I want to know why. Why don't I feel right about this? I want to look into this. I want to know exactly what are in these in these jabs. What are the ingredients? And what are the ingredients? What can they cause? Or, what are the side effects? Right? And I have proof from people in my life that they're not as safe as they say they are. I have physical proof with people in my life right now that are dealing with consequences and side effects of these jabs. And sadly, I think a few of them have permanently damaged their health because of it. And that's really sad because these are really healthy people. Really healthy people who now might have a lifelong issue with heart issues and neurological issues. And for what? So they could take this to supposedly prevent the spread of this virus, which we know the people who are double vaxxed are still spreading it. It just makes no sense. Like, you have to weigh your risks. And, to me, there's way more risks than positive. I'm going to wait and see what happens. But to be penalized for my choice is absolutely horrible, what people are saying. I mean, like, what happened to humanity? Where did it become okay to shun and shame people because they're choosing free choice over their body? When did that become okay? I don't know. I mean, we are living in some really scary times right now, but I don't like what I'm seeing. I really don't. Like, people's true colors are coming out. And, I'm of the belief that if you want to do something for your health, I respect you. But you also need to respect me. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. But there needs to be a respect. Because if there's no respect, then what the hell? Like, what are we doing? Like, what happened to humanity? What happened to humanity? What happened to compassion? What happened to caring and acceptance? We are going through another cycle of segregation. We are going through another cycle of segregation. We seem to be going through these cycles constantly in history. Every time we've gone through some type of, discrimination or segregation, and we're going through it again. First it was like the blacks. We've had segregation with natives, indigenous. We've had segregation with religions and, gender. Now we have segregation with, medical. It's unbelievable. It never ends. It never ends. And this is how humanity has been set up. It's just a perpetual creation of divide and conquer. Create a problem. Pit people against each other. Because divided, we fall. United, we stand. And they don't want us united, because when you unite, you become very powerful. And the powers that be don't want that. The powers that be don't want us to be united. They want us divided so they can continue to control us. That's really, really what it is at a fundamental level. Because there's only a very few number of people that run this world. And they're very powerful, evil people that are greedy and do awful things to humanity, that have been controlling humanity for hundreds of years. But there's more of us than them, and they know that, and they're afraid, because they know that if the 99% all woke up and came together, they know that they're done. But what they do is they continue to perpetuate fear and control and manipulation and divide, so that they can keep enough people fighting and distracted, and they're able to control and manipulate, because divided we fall, divided we're weak. It's a game to them. And I really, really wish that people would understand that, if you choose to divide and segregate based on medical choice, that you are playing right into their hands. You're doing their dirty work. You are, you're just playing the narrative. But see, I choose not to participate in that. I'm all about unity and freedom and compassion. And the more of us that can, come to this, the more that we'll be able to take down these evil, horrible people that have been ruling this world. And there are millions and millions of us that are all over the world right now protesting, fighting their governments. There's revolutions happening. I mean, France and pretty much every country right now, except Canada. Canada's very passive. Canada, we have a very passive country. We've been programmed to comply, because Canada has never experienced dictatorship or communism in history. So we don't know what that really is. The people that fled those countries, no. And they're the ones that have been screaming the last couple of years, like, oh my God, I left my country because this is exactly what they did. And they came to Canada thinking that they were coming here for a better life. And now it's happening here too. But see, the people that are standing up to their government are in countries that have experienced communism, dictatorship, those really oppressive governments, because they know they've been through it. But here in Canada, we haven't experienced that. So most people have no idea. They think censorship is totally fine. They think it's okay. And it's like, oh my God, like the first clue that we have a dictatorship government is when they start to censor information. Right? The second is when they start mandating medical treatments. I mean, what is it going to take for people to understand that we are under a dictatorship government? What is it going to take? I mean, I can see the writing on the wall. Many people can see the writing on the wall, but most people don't. And I think it's really, really because, Canada really is a young country, and we have not experienced any darkness. We have not experienced a lot of, the horrible things that some countries went through. So we are walking right into the lion's den, giving up our rights and freedoms for our safety. And we all know who said that. We all know that exact phrase was used back in World War II with the Holocaust. It was for everybody's safety. They even used the same wording. And back then, they had little yellow stars to differentiate people, segregation. And now we're going to be having passports to do the exact same thing. I mean, can you see? Can you see that we're reliving history again? Anyways, it's not my job to wake you up. It's my job to share my perspective and to share information that might just help you open up your mind a little bit. Look at the bigger picture and see what's really going on. Look past the narrative. Look at the bigger picture. Turn off your TV. Look at some information that's being broadcasted on independent media outlets right now. It is all over. You will see what's truly happening in the world because the mainstream is censoring what's really going on in the world. And it's huge. It's huge. Because the mainstream is just showing you what they want to show you. And it's a biased narrative. They're keeping you in a small little box. We're going to give you just a little bit of information and then keep pumping out the narrative, right? But there is so much that's happening in this world. You have no idea. But you're not going to know unless you're willing to look outside of your comfort zone. Look outside of the mainstream media. And people are sharing this information on social media, yet for some reason people keep saying, well, that's fake or that's misinformation. But why are you saying that? How can you say something is misinformation? Have you actually looked into it? Or are you saying that because you believe your mainstream media to be truthful? Like, open your mind a little bit and look at other things and then decide for yourself what you think is true or not. But the very fact that we have censorship, the very fact that doctors and nurses and medical professionals that are being deplatformed should really, really make you go, holy shit, like what the heck is going on here? Honestly, you have to ask yourself these questions. Because there are thousands and thousands of doctors and nurses and virologists and, scientists that have come out with very, very compelling information that shows some pretty big truths. And yet, they're being censored. And these are doctors that have been practicing for 20, 30, 40 years. And people, they're like, well, they're probably some crazy doctor or they're a tinfoil hat or whatever. These are like highly regarded doctors that grew some balls and are standing up and whistleblowing because it takes balls to stand up. It takes courage. It takes so much courage to stand up and risk your reputation and your job to come up and speak. But these people are doing it because they truly care about humans. They truly want to help people. And they're being censored. And you have to ask yourself why. Because true science should always be debated. True science should always be able to look at all sides and entertain new information that's coming through, because science makes mistakes all the time, right? I equate this medical experiment to what happened with the thalidomide, when they said it was safe. They gave it to a whole bunch of pregnant women, and they said, no, it's going to be fine, it's safe. And even when they knew that it wasn't safe, they were still pushing it. And then we all know what happened. There was a generation of babies that were born deformed, and many died. But you see, by then it's too late. And I think that's what's happening now. I really think that's what's happening right now, is they're doing the same thing. And now we're starting to see people that are getting really sick, some that are dying. Many are going to develop cancer from these jabs. But by that time, it's too late. Right? It's too late. When in history has medicine never made a mistake? I think that's a better question, because we know many things in history that they have lied to about or made mistakes. I mean, there was a time when doctors were prescribing smoking. Yeah, smoking was safe. And we all know what happened after. There was a time where they used to put cocaine in Coca-Cola, right? I mean, you have to ask yourself, they have done a lot of harm to humanity in the past. So how is it any different now? Why do you think it's any different now? You have that much blind faith in your government that they would never harm people? I mean, if you believe that, then you are really, really naive. What about the prohibition where they poisoned alcohol and thousands and thousands of people died? The government poisoned the alcohol on purpose. This is true. You can find this information. It's available. So when you say, why would our government lie to us? It's like, well, why wouldn't they? They're self-serving. They don't work for the people. Our government does not work for the people. We work for the government, and it's supposed to be the other way around. They're supposed to work for us. But you see, we've given away so much of our power, especially here in Canada. We've given up so much of our power that the government rules us and has been shifting. You could see it rolling out over the last, since 9/11, to be honest with you, but more so the last maybe 10 years, but even more so the last few years. That it's like extreme liberalism. This is extreme control, their agenda, their narrative. It's pretty sad that people don't see it, and yet, are willingly giving up their freedoms every day because they have so much faith in their government. I guess you'll have to figure that out when the time comes, but maybe it'll be too late by then, right? And I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't. But, maybe one day when you get sick, or your children get sick, and it's because of a result of the jabs, will you figure it out by then? Or are you just going to dismiss it and say, oh no, it's not because of that? Because that's another thing, is people don't want to acknowledge the truth. They quickly brush it under the rug because, no, we're not going to entertain that. It can't be that. But, that's for each person to figure out. But, we're headed into some pretty dark times. We really are. And I truly, truly pray that more and more people wake up, question things, stop participating in this crimes against humanity, because that's what it is. It is a crimes against humanity. And there's lawsuits happening right now all over the world, including here in Canada and in BC. And I'm sure many of you are not aware of this because the media is not sharing this information. But Bonnie Henry has been taken to court, I believe on the 15th of August, and the judge actually has approved a court date. And she is being charged with fraud, medical fraud, because there has been no isolation of this virus. Every government is being challenged with this right now, and they're unable to provide that proof. How can you base your restrictions and mandates without having an isolated virus? Think about that for a second. It's a big pill to swallow. But if you don't have an actual isolation of a virus, how can you say we have a pandemic, and how can you roll out these tyrannical rules and mandates based on nothing? And the cases are based on fraudulent PCR tests. So it's a pandemic based on fraudulent cases, right? And then people are like, well, people are really dying. Yeah, people are dying. People die every day. People die every frickin' day from every frickin' cause. Why are we only focusing on COVID cause? Do you know how many people died from not getting medical treatments because of this virus? From all the canceled surgeries and treatments? Do you know how many people have committed suicide? Do you know how many people have overdosed? Do you know how many people are suffering mental health illness? Do you know how many people, elderly people, have died from isolation? It is far greater than the virus. But that doesn't seem to matter. And that is the disturbing part to me, is that they're making the deaths of this one particular virus, which I truly, truly think is just a rebranded flu. And they're not worried or caring about anything else. It's absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. And it is crimes against humanity when you cause more harm, when the cure is worse than the virus, and you know it. You are committing crimes against humanity because you are causing more harm to humanity. And so this is what's being challenged right now. And if you're not aware of it, you should look it up. You should look it up. Unless you don't want to know, because, you know, ignorance is bliss. But hey, everybody's got their own prerogative. But you should look it up. So, anyways, I'm going to stop now. I really, truly wish everybody well, and you know, free will, free choice, freedom, pro-choice, body autonomy. That's what I'm in support of for everybody. And I hope that you are too. I hope that you are on the right side of God. Thank you.